to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
I am naturally blonde, but not delusional.
And Dale Hummel.
Darling girl, when all else fails, join the circus.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
Ryan, it's been good. I'm back from Oklahoma. I'm back in civilization, but I had no internet again this morning, and that's not uncommon at our place.
Well, I don't have electricity, so I don't want to hear about your internet problems.
No electricity in Crockett, Texas.
I was only going to be here for 2 nights anyway. When I left to check into a hotel room to record this podcast so I'd have Wi-Fi, the electricians were out there working on it, but no, I had no electricity.
That's not a good situation.
No, my parents.
But you're making do.
No, I mean, it's got to record the podcast, by God, one way or another.
I went out to my truck because of that new OnStar idea, and OnStar apparently works through AT&T, and we basically have zero AT&T, so I thought I was going to have to drive somewhere in the truck to record.
Well, what I was more concerned about this morning when this problem arose is I have bags and luggage and clothes ready for 22 days because I am leaving in the morning. And
time out. You cannot. You're not capable of packing that much stuff.
That's where you would be wrong, sir. But
you have 2 suitcases for a weekend.
And wait till you see the snaps and the photos that I will post online of all this.
I am excited to see it.
Yeah. And I was like, if I don't get this shit loaded and finished right now, I'm going to be doing this with no air conditioning and 102-degree heat. Yeah, this isn't going to work. So most of it's loaded and not in bags, but I figured that if I have to, I mean, some of it like along the way, but like this has been a process. And the worst problem about this is you throw a week long of a pageant in there and like Dale, it's not just me. I can show you the schedule that they send to all the judges. There's like 3 costume changes a day if you're a normal person as a judge. So for me, that means 6.
I can't even go down that path. I don't understand. You're in air conditioning. You're sitting there. You're not sweating. You're not doing anything. And what's wrong with wearing the same shirt and pants from A to B?
Oh my Lord, no. Anyhow, I'm just gonna act like that. You didn't even say that. But anyway,
I'm gonna be gone for like 8 days straight, and I've got my backpack and a carry-on. I'm going.
Yeah, and you'll probably wash your clothes in the river too. But
no, I've got it all worked. I don't even need to wash anything. I think I'm good.
Oh, okay. No, so anyway,
go ahead.
So it's been a process, but I'm ready. Got to sort shows all the way till Sunday. Fly back from this Texas Pageant Sunday. That goes through the next Sunday. Then I'm off to my first of 10 county fairs in Ohio. Virginia, I don't know. I get back on July 8th, and I judge a show in Texas on July 10th, fly out July 11th for 31 days.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Well, I'm just telling you what's about to happen in my life.
Do you want to know something that is even more exciting?
What?
On the way back from southeastern Oklahoma, stopped to buy some fireworks.
Oh, God.
You know how that worked out with my no-buy China policy?
None. You got nothing. Black cats. I think black cats are made in the U.S., maybe.
They might. I told my family no, nothing, and they rebelled on me. They rebelled.
Yeah.
There was a saving grace to the whole thing. So in this fireworks store in Missouri, it also has a few antiques. There's some arrowheads and some buffalo hides. I thought it was kind of neat. I went over and looked at it. I see these circus posters, like Barnum and Bailey circus posters from long ago. I thought, well, those are pretty neat. Guy didn't want to sell any of them. So I left that alone. And then my son brings to me this cane. Very old cane, and I just blew out my ACL, so I thought, well, this is a great idea. This is good. At the bottom of the cane, there was this metal sharp hook. And I'm thinking, well, what is that? And he asked me what it is, and I think he'd already knew what it was. I did not. I said, well, I'm not real sure what it is. He said, Dad, this is from the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. It's an elephant training tool that they would beat the elephants with to get them to cooperate.
Well, isn't that lovely?
That was the most unique thing I've ever seen. And again, it's got some very dark history, and I do not approve of harming elephants, but it's just a
I was
pretty...
just going to say, you're going to have PETA shut our podcast down.
No, I don't approve of it, and I don't approve of the dark history behind it, but it's a very unique...
Did you buy this thing?
I bought it.
Of course you did.
Yep, I bought it.
For like, what, $5,000?
No, we won't talk about what it cost, but it wasn't...
Oh, exactly. No, you want to talk about every piece of article of clothing that I own and what it costs, but we don't want to talk about your beating elephant stick cost.
It wasn't that much. It wasn't bad. I didn't even think twice about buying it. It was easy.
Because you wanted it, Dale. If you want something, it doesn't matter what it costs. It's everybody else that wants something that you are concerned with what it costs.
I allowed my children to buy Chinese fireworks. That's a pretty big step.
Okay, moving on next. Let's
Pretty
talk about
big
real world problems. Your brother, Joe Biden, the president of the United States of America, is making an idiot out of himself in front of the whole world.
It's embarrassing.
On an international stage.
It is embarrassing. And the rest of the mainstream media outside of Fox and a few others and Sleepy Joe himself think that this is the best ever, that he is the hero of the world.
I don't know what mainstream media you've been watching. I haven't heard anybody criticize him really other than Fox, but I haven't heard a whole lot of applause.
They should be tearing him apart. It's amazing. So what about Libya, Syria? It's kind of all the same, isn't it? Libya, Syria, Canada. It doesn't really matter.
Aren't they like sister nations? I mean,
yeah,
sure.
It doesn't matter. It's okay. It's all good.
I love the fact that every time he talks, he says, now, if I answered that, my staff's going to get mad at me because I'm not supposed to answer any questions that we haven't talked about.
And he put himself in that position with some open questions.
Why would you say that?
Oh, I don't know.
If you knew your staff was going to beat you with an elephant cane that Dale now possesses when you got off the stage and in private, don't say that to the world.
An elephant cane with a metal hook on the end.
Oh, good.
It kind of looks like a show stick at the end.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm with you, Ryan. It's sad. I know that China had sent a memo to the G7 group while they were meeting that they need to respect China and stop interfering in their internal affairs. They must have discussed China a little bit, and China was unhappy.
Well,
but I don't think anybody in that G7 is going to do a damn thing about China.
No. On a humorous note, at the summit or whatever, I think like one of the first events was hosted by Queen Elizabeth, and this is like this is the first time she's come out in public and hosted something since the passing of her husband, which was recently. And so they're all standing there for this photo op as all these world leaders and all this stuff, and she looks at them and she says, aren't y'all supposed to be acting like you enjoy it? And like,
she said this.
Oh yes, it was hilarious. And so
to Joe,
she punked all of them. Like it was all of the world leaders right there. And so
great.
Yeah, I thought it was real funny. So she's 95 and she's still giving people shit. Good for her.
Yeah, I like that lady. I'm good there. So later today, and this is going to drop after the meeting happens, but I'm going to make a prediction that we will not know what really happens behind the scenes between Joe and Putin. But I have a feeling Putin is going to eat him alive.
Well, they're not having a joint press conference after. You think it's because Joe will get eaten alive. I saw something because they were saying that it was on CNN or whatever, but they were saying that Joe didn't want to have a press conference with Putin and whatever. And so somebody that was reporting over there said, well, Putin's been on the record that he doesn't really care to have a joint press conference with President Biden either. So evidently, it's not all going very swimmingly anyway.
No, it could be a complete disaster.
But
I am concerned about it. Very, very concerned.
But don't worry. Kamala Harris is over here, and she's got it all handled. And she is out there marching in gay pride events and speaking out about trans people and how the youth and all. I mean, she is literally having a gay old time. Literally.
Are you jumping ship?
What do you mean?
Are you now a Camellia supporter?
Oh, God, no.
Oh,
no.
Got it. Okay.
I was being sarcastic. I loathe Pride Month. And let me tell you why. I am an out and proud gay man, and that is fine, and that is great, and that is wonderful. What Pride Month is supposed to do is, like, make people aware of gay history and the struggles that they have gone through to get the rights that we have. And it's also supposed to, like, showcase us so more people will be welcoming and embrace gay culture, and there will not be as much hatred and, discrimination. I cannot think of a better way to accomplish all that than have a month-long festival in the major metropolitan cities all across the world of half-naked men who are drunk and drugged. Sounds perfect. That's exactly. Oh, and covered in glitter. That's exactly how you're going to get more people to go, you know what? Those gay boys, they're good people.
No.
Yeah.
Nope, that's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work. So I loathe all things Pride Month. And I also think the fact that all of these companies whip out their rainbow flags and all this other shit for 1 month, it is so, really? Unless you're Chick-fil-A, put your pride flag back, okay? Because we all get it.
So Chick-fil-A is consistent.
Yeah, they hate us all the time.
Oh, okay. Just check. I know the younger crowd seems to think a lot of Chick-fil-A. I have.
Oh, really Kelly Ellis worships the ground that Chick-fil-A walks on. I don't mind the food. I don't mind eating at Chick-fil-A, but I'm just saying, at least Chick-fil-A is 100% against homosexuals 365, 24/7.
You'd prefer the consistency rather than jumping back and forth.
Exactly. Then 1 month a year, let's wave some glitter and a pride flag and be like, woo! Yeah, no. I loathe Pride Month.
Well, while we're talking about some of these things and Camellia and the woke culture, I am still, and my wife is on an absolute mission to avoid any Coke products. And I went to book some flights the other day, and American was one of the less expensive ones, and that was not allowed. So I hope that those companies out there that are into this cancel culture, woke crap, I hope others are doing the same. And I think they should feel some of that pain.
Well, I'm trying not to drink Coke anymore, and I don't drink many soft drinks anyway, but there's a lot of times on flights they don't have tea, or a lot of places have that bottled tea stuff, and it's just terrible. So I'm trying not to drink Coke because they're don't like white people anymore.
So what was I think I texted you a can.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's real, but it said Trump.
No, I don't believe it is, but it was very representative, I think, of the company.
Right. I mean, they're definitely against white people right now. Which
be less white, I think is what it said on it.
But,
be less white.
So I get that, and I agree with her stance. There are just some things that I just can't do without. So if United is one of these people, United Airlines, she's just going to have to hate me because I'm going to continue to fly it. So they don't lose my bags. Their flights go out on time. And
so far, United's good. I think we're good.
So, there's just a couple of things that it's just not going to work. Too Faced Cosmetics, some stuff like that. But I do applaud her efforts, and I believe she is right.
And that leads me to how if that G7 summit, and I don't think a lot of what they accomplished there, but if they truly wanted to accomplish something and re-evaluated the trade deals with China and pushed them away, and there's so many things we could do. And I think just us as a society, as the voting population in the United States that are a little more on the conservative side, if we can make an effort to avoid some of those Chinese products, it would make a difference. If we shut off that cash flow that goes from here to there, that's a big deal. And I think we could actually have an impact on them. And for some reason, we're letting them do whatever they want. It's not a good situation by any means. And I continue to listen to the crap that's put out there about where COVID-19 came from, and they think they're going to go into the lab in China and still discover all the evidence. China has buried all the evidence.
Dude, they did more to that evidence than Hillary did on her server and her devices when she got investigated.
It is gone. And just the fact that at the very least, it came out of the lab accidentally and they covered it up. At the most, they worked on this virus in the lab, released it intentionally, covered it all up, irregardless of whether it's accidental or not. No matter what, their guilt and what they've covered up and what they've buried is enough for me to pin it on them and to take as drastic of an action against China as a country and bring others into it. How can the rest of the world allow China to get away with what they've done? And I think it's going to be allowed. I believe it will be fine.
I'm going to go back and do not let me. I got to circle back to the Clintons of it all after I get the full statement out. But when all this first started, if you will remember, and I brought it up, there was a scientist, a doctor in China that had video, tried to get it out there, all this other stuff, and some of it made it over to the United States. And guess what happened to him?
Dead.
He's dead.
That reminds you of the Clintons, doesn't it?
Like in 4 days, the man was dead. Oh, and it was because of COVID-19, supposedly.
Yep.
False. But anyway, so I knew right then, like, both of us were on the same page, but like, that was my first thing that I was like, okay, there's enough here. This guy's trying to get information out to the world, and now he's dead 4 days later. Something jacked up, fishy, sketchy is happening over there in the Wuhan of it all. And then that kind of just went under the radar, and now all this stuff's coming out. But
I wish that it was a natural cause. I wish it was jumping from animal to man, because I don't want to think about the gain to function.
it would have been so much simpler if it would have been the guy that ate a raw bat.
It would have, and then we wouldn't have to worry because of where it is right now.
Waiting for the next shoe to drop.
Yeah, it's not if, it's when. And I don't like living in that world.
And before I get to the Clintons, I do want to say one thing. So Biden and all of his bullshit and nonsense. So he's so proud of himself about how he's donated all these vaccines to these third world countries and all this stuff. And I don't know if you saw this, but he went through, because I had a discussion with some people this weekend at the regional Hereford show about this. And so he's donating all these vaccines to these very poor countries, which is fine. There's no, I mean, it's whatever. That's great. But then he said his reason for that is because the pandemic is a global problem. And the sooner that we get these poor countries vaccinated and all this other stuff, they will start spending money with America again. Those people are not spending money with America. Those people are like trying to survive.
They're worried about getting a meal every third day and where water's going to come from. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I'm not being rude about it, but those people are not buying any American goods and products. I think there's nothing wrong that he sent vaccines over there, but his reason for it just shows what an idiot he is.
He's just incoherent, period. There's no other way to explain it.
This really is happening, but it's okay.
Clintons have not been on the radar for a while.
No, and so this is my point. Hillary and Bill must be the most bored, because I doubt they've ever had to spend this much quality time together since neither one of them are president. And so, back when she was running for office, there was a reporter by the name of Christopher Sine. I think he was from Alabama, or he was an Alabama football player. I can't remember all of it. But anyway, he is the one that broke the story about Bill meeting with the attorney general on the tarmac about all that stuff. Okay?
No, they talked about grandkids and family and something else.
Yeah. Okay, next. Anyhow, if you believe that, then you also believe that the raw bat caused the China virus. And so that story gave her a little grief, but it didn't give her nearly as much grief as a lot of things. Well, in the last couple of days, Christopher Sine suicided himself.
How convenient.
Anybody think that's just a little suspect? Just like Epstein suicided himself?
If this was the only one that was tied to Clinton's, maybe.
This is like number 46, and I'm not like just putting out a number, like I'm serious.
No, I'm with you.
This is like number 46 that has had information on the Clintons or broke a story against the Clintons or whatever that has conveniently met their demise.
So we haven't talked about Hillary. You think she'll come back onto the primary stage again?
Oh no, because they didn't want her anywhere near it last time. I don't think so.
I thought she'd just think she could jump back in after being out of the spotlight for a little while.
And so yeah, no, I think she's toast.
Did you hear about the New Jersey school and the school board members voting to not put the name of the holidays on the school calendar? Just no school day. Not put Thanksgiving, not put Christmas, nothing. Just no school day. And it passed.
Oh my God.
These school board members, and we have issues everywhere, and you would think in rural America that it wouldn't be bad, but
well, you know how school board members get there, they're voted on.
They are, and that's why I'm going to make a public call. Please go ahead and run for school board. I know it's a pain in the ass on time. I know all these things, but if we don't have some conservative minds involved in the school board and making some of these decisions, how else are we going to stop the critical race theory, the ridiculous spending? I swear there's zero business sense in 99% of the school board members. And there's some great ones out there, and I appreciate what they're doing. But in general, when we talk about this New Jersey school board voting to not put the name of a holiday on a calendar, that is the most extreme example of ignorance that I've seen to date.
I am glad Cherie does not listen to this podcast because you do not know that, but Cherie was a school board member.
I believe that she was. I would have no...
Oh, she was.
But I think we need more people maybe like her on there.
And that campaigning and all of that nonsense that she... No,
I'm all for the conservative school board members.
That really interrupted like a whole lot of things stock show for me. And so I was not on board until she got elected, and then she actually became president. And so then, like, I'm not joking, I basically ran the school because my mother was on the school board.
You thought it was the best at that point.
Yes. And I helped her campaign after I figured out how to use this towards my advantage. I was like, you are not getting off the school board till I am done. Okay?
I love it. Absolutely love it. I hope she spoke her mind. I'm sure she did.
She always does.
We need more conservative thinking on a lot of the school boards. And I hope that was just an example I had to bring up, and I thought it was way, way out there.
She went to a show with me last week. It was great.
It was good. You have to enjoy those times with family.
Okay, next.
I do need to clear up one thing on the UFOs.
Oh, okay.
And we've gone over this too many times, but there continues to be new information, and I continue to lay awake at night thinking about these things and discussing it with my youngest child. With that said, it is simple. Either the information provided by the U.S. military is inaccurate, which I have no reason to believe that it's not accurate, and they're not giving us. Maybe it's not, but I don't have a reason to say it's inaccurate. Someone or something is far more technically advanced than what we appear to be, and I prefer it's not one of our adversaries. And we've already gone over those things right there. When I bring up the alien side as being maybe the only alternative, my son Chase did explain it in more detail. That within the realm of the entire world, universe, everything, the fact is we're one of the older and theoretically more advanced, where he says there's life out there, but they're probably less developed. They're probably in the single cell stage, all of these things. And he truly believes this. And this is possible. As we bring that theory into play, there is one other explanation for this. And I have no basis for it and no evidence. But there is a thought, and I hope that maybe it's more that I want it to happen. There is a chance that we have a section of our research and development and military that is not connected with the other, that they're not communicating, and we actually have some of this technology that we're capturing by those that are more above the table in terms of being recognized. Does that make any sense? A deep, dark project that nobody's aware of, Ryan. Can we buy into that before the aliens?
Sure, Dale. I'm going to buy into anything that you say if we can get off the topic of aliens.
Well, that was moving that direction from aliens, but I'm still in favor of an alien over a Russian or a Chinese every day. No, take them every single day.
And one other thing before we go to the main topic, and like this hasn't got a whole lot of traction, but I'm just going to make a prediction. So Southwest Airlines has been hacked, and they've been grounded, and now it's going on the second day, and this is going to be the same thing as the pipeline and all this other shit.
I did hear that a little bit, but that they are grounded as of today.
Still.
Oh, I was going to book a ticket here this morning. I should have done that earlier, shouldn't I?
And they're not saying that they've been hacked, but I'm telling you, I'm making that prediction right now.
No, I'm with you. I had heard a little blip or something that came across my phone.
System shortage is what they're saying.
What's that mean?
No system shortage last 2 days.
No, they're hacked.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to tell you who did it?
Russia.
Yeah. Putin will probably own up to it in that meeting. Biden will have him so intimidated and scared. He'll be shaken.
Sure he will.
And just nervous and just confess everything.
Oh, of course.
Biden's intimidating. I'm telling you. He talks, what's he call you about? A dog pony or a...
Dog-faced pony soldier.
Dog face. That's what Putin's going to be, is a dog-faced pony soldier.
Dog-faced pony soldier.
Yep. And then he'll do push-ups if he wants, if you'd like to challenge him.
Challenge him to a push-up contest and all kinds of stuff. It'd be all.
Yeah, Putin, he's in trouble. He is in trouble.
Duh.
Well, I'm good on current events, and maybe we're a little short on those today.
Took 30 minutes. I hope so.
It seemed to go really quick. How about the main topic, Ryan?
Beat the heat.
Beat the heat. We haul livestock all over the country, and Ryan, you've got to deal with this far more than we do up here. We've just got a couple months that it's extremely hot that we have to worry about it, but it is an issue.
It is hot here from April till October. If we're lucky.
And how do you beat the heat? How do we beat it when we're hauling stock?
I don't know. There's lots of different tips and tricks that we'll go through and talk about. But like, I think overall, And the reason I wanted to do this topic is because there are so many more people showing this summer than there were last summer, and it is way hotter. And I personally blame Biden for that because it was not this hot when Trump was president. I think probably the first thing that you need to like assess in all this is to make sure that your trailer has proper ventilation. And I know that sounds stupid and simple, but a lot of people just take that for granted. And also, depending on how much you're going to haul and how hot it is in your area of where you live for however long, like that should be a factor when you go to purchase a livestock trailer, because they do come with different ventilation and all that other stuff. So I think that's the first step right there, is everyone needs to have one that proper ventilation, but like depending on where you live and how much you're going to haul your animals in the summer, you need to make that in your buying decisions of a trailer.
No, absolutely. And we have a trailer that we haul our show goats around in, and it's air conditioned. And we're going to talk about that topic. And before I do that, Ryan, go back to your show trailer days. Did you have an air conditioning unit on them?
We had one completely air conditioned trailer. We did not like it. So we only had one. And not that the AC went out or excuse me, or anything like that. It worked, but you couldn't haul as many animals as you could in a non-AC trailer, or it would be just as hot as hell. It would be hotter than in a normal trailer. It just, the ammonia smell. I mean, there's just lots of different things that they were a lot more work than what we thought we were getting out of it. So we only had one.
And I think that still holds true today, even though you're dating yourself a little bit back in time there. But we do have an air conditioned trailer, and
I could have an air conditioner. I could be talking about it, having it right now, and we don't use it. I didn't say when. Don't say I'm dating me.
I remember that old steel air conditioner.
You never ask a lady her age, sir.
I did not ask. I just was trying to envision that air conditioned unit that was sitting on top of your trailer, and it was the size of a trailer.
I said we had an air conditioned trailer. Air conditioned.
Got it. We also have an air conditioned trailer, and it's fine. It takes the edge off, and we don't have to use it as often as people in other parts of the country. And obviously, some of these trailers that are air conditioned, you start insulating the roof and putting the air conditioning unit in, all of those things, it gets expensive. Some of these trailers are very, very expensive, and it's hard to justify all the time. I tried when I ordered this trailer to purchase a trailer that I could use specifically this time of year to haul young prospect goats from our sale, have 2 or 3 sales, and make a trip to Oklahoma and Texas, where I'd haul them myself in air conditioning. And there wasn't any of them out there when I wanted to fill that trailer up with a significant number of goats. There was none of the manufacturers that said that the air conditioners could handle it. Kind of like what Ryan said, when you start putting more stock in there, it just can't keep up. If I haul a half a dozen goats in our trailer, it's fine most of the time. It'll take the edge off. And I don't think we need to bring it down to 60, 70 degrees, but if it's 110 out, you can get it down to the low 90s or 80s, that's going to help. We don't need to make it cooler room cold, but at least take some of that edge off. But I'm with Ryan. I haven't found, I love the fact that we have the air conditioning unit. I don't feel I'm always uncomfortable it's going to break down or something's going to go wrong. So obviously we can drop the sides, we can do other things.
Well, that's why you have those little cameras.
Yes, but put the cameras back there, put your thermometer back there, hook it up to your phone app.
I mean, if you're going to have an air conditioned trailer, then you got enough money that we don't need to like cut corners, people.
We need to go all the way.
Right, yeah. Because otherwise, halfway will get you hurt in that situation in a big way. That's kind of like with the cool room situation. If you're going to do it, then you either have somebody in the barn all the time that the animals are in there, or you have every bell and whistle that it goes to your cell phone, it goes to your neighbor's cell phone. Like it throws up a smoke signal and blows confetti out of the top of the barn when it goes off, etc.
No, agreed. And as we move into this, and I'm gonna start on the goat side, Ryan, they can probably take the heat better than any of the other show species, in my opinion.
There's no doubt about that.
I get very, very concerned if we have to travel anywhere, and we can go over a lot of those things, but I think we should be the least concerned about the goats compared to the other species. But even them, and even living in Illinois, it's still an issue. And it came to my attention when Ryan brought this topic up. I had just got a text from somebody that had been sitting in the expo line over in Indianapolis for the hog show. They've been sitting in line for 8 hours. Think about the heat that was happening. That scares me. It absolutely scares me. Without an air-conditioned trailer, without being able to pull into the shade, if there's not a breeze happening, it's going to be a problem with those hogs. I mean, we can do a lot of...
It's going to be a problem with anything, 8 hours in line in summer heat. It's just, that's an issue.
No, it is an absolute issue. So what are some things we can do to try to help ourselves? Let's throw the air conditioning out the window. We don't have that, or it broke down. Then what do we do?
I think if you're not going to have an AC unit in your trailer, whatever, there are cheaper, more economical ways of installing Mister systems in trailers that are very effective. We had a Mister system in all of our trailers, and again, the water tank takes up a little space for tack and stuff like that, but I do think that was a really effective thing for us here in Texas. And so I'm going to be honest with you, like some of the Mister systems in our trailers we did ourselves because we didn't like the way some trailer manufacturers did theirs or the ones we had. So we would rig them up ourselves and they worked just as fine. And again, there's been advancements made and stuff like that. But if you can be a family that has a Mister system in your trailer, I think that's a great way to start.
No, and I'd say in general, probably, fairly reliable. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of things that can go wrong.
As long as you keep the water tank full, you're going to be all right.
No, and if you can get that Mister system going, then just a little bit of breeze or air coming through there, life is going to be pretty good for a lot of animals. If we head out, and even when I've got haulers stopping by here when it's really hot out, one of the things that we'll do, and it used to be when we were showing hogs more so than the goats, but once we get that trailer bedded, we'd just soak that bedding, and we'd soak those hogs before they pulled out, or any of the animals. I can't say that I've ever gotten a goat soaking wet before I put them in the trailer, but I have wet down their blankets and put those soaking wet blankets on them, and I think that probably keeps them cooler than no blanket if you can keep it cool, and once it dries off, just take it off on down the road somewhere. But there's certainly things that we can do, and I know that I spoke to our Pope Joy Livestock, Stephen, here today, and he was talking about hauling some hogs last week, and he had an older boar on there, and he had bought several bags of ice or picked him up from the breeder that was sending the boar on the truck. And I mean, just they're people that are conscious of it are doing everything they possibly can. The worry is sometimes we're in our air-conditioned truck going down the road, and we just don't think about it like we should.
I think a good idea for everybody, no matter when you're going to haul if in the summer, wet your bedding down really, really, really good. And then it did not matter. I'm telling you, unless it was cold, and it doesn't get cold in Texas very often for very long periods of time even. But I would tell you into the fall, when we would load cattle on a trailer, we would soak them because they're going to get shit and all kinds of stuff on them anyway. So you're going to have to wash them when you get to the show regardless. So we would soak them and get them as wet as we could before we loaded them up there. Again, just even if it wasn't scorching hot, to make them as comfortable as they could in that trailer, because it is going to be hotter in that trailer than it is standing outside. And so we did that at all the shows that we went to almost year round. And I think that is something that's a little trick that doesn't cost any money that I think a bunch of people forget about sometimes.
No, I agree, Ryan. And sometimes what we forget about is we put all this work into these show animals day and night for months on end, and we're going to a pretty important show. In my opinion, and I know people are always different, once we decide what time we have to be there or when we're allowed to check in or drop off those animals, we'll leave at midnight. We'll leave at 1 a.m. We'll leave at whatever time we can to avoid that heat. Once we get that whole thing in motion, in my mind, you've put so much effort into it, in that 6 hours or however long that trip is of heat stress on that animal is going to take us so far backwards that we've pretty much taken ourselves out of contention to win one of these. And we've talked about how competitive the junior market shows are at this point. you have to be game on every single step of the way. And it's not a big deal for me to wake up in the middle of the night or haul and drive all night long when you've put so much time into it already just to make sure that everything goes well. I've seen people stop that do not have air conditioned trailers and it's pretty hot on the way to a show, stop and go in a sit down restaurant or this or that.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
I'm telling you, when it's time to go, you get in the truck, you hope it's dark out, and you go. And you get those animals off and under fans or misters or whatever you can just as quick as possible. And we should probably expand this out, not just while we're hauling to the show, but we've got to keep those animals cool at the show. And every show has different regulations.
We're going to talk about that too.
Yeah. I mean, we can go all the way into it. And I love Ryan's idea about the wet animals. I think the sheep, I think it even works fine for the goats, especially if you're that far into the south where it's getting that hot. And I'm not 100% sure on this, but I feel comfortable that putting those wet blankets on them is probably going to help. You're going to have to take them off as they start to dry, but it might buy you an hour or so, keeping them just a little bit cooler. And the whole hauling at night, Ryan gives me a hard time. And when I'm not hauling livestock.
No, I don't mind. I'm all about hauling at night, Dill. You just drive at night. There's a huge difference when you could be a normal person and leave in the morning or the afternoon. You don't go anywhere, whether it's to the grocery store or 12 hours to judge a show or to hold but you don't leave before 11 o'clock at night.
There are more important things to do during the day.
Okay. Then get on a plane, crackhead. Next.
The Southwest won't take me anymore, but I do have to get on.
Hacked.
Now you've got me nervous. I'm on the computer trying to book a ticket as we're recording here.
I'm just telling you, I got the busiest summer of sorting in the history of the world. If United gets hacked, I don't know what's going to happen. But anyway, moving on.
It's done.
And one thing about, and again, if there's going to be a lot, like people are at exposition, there's NJSA events, the National Board Goat shows going on. There's going to be a million junior nationals, and a lot of those people are going to have to haul long hours. So yeah, absolutely. You've got like from 6 to 6 in the morning, 7 to 7 in the morning, there's 12, 14, 16 hours where it is going to be cooler. If you can make it in that one deal, by God, do it. And most people, a lot of these shows that they go to for a week like this might be their family vacation, so there are going to be multiple family members. Take turns driving, do whatever you got to do. I know when I was showing, there were a lot of summer shows that we went to that it took more than 12 hours to get there. If that was the case, we would try to find a spot to lay over so they weren't in the trailer in the middle between mid-morning, noon, and afternoon. And that may not be possible, but again, the planning, you've done all this work at home and you've planned on going to this show for probably 6 months. That's just one more planning step. And if you got to go a little out of the way to find somewhere where you can lay over so you don't have those animals in a trailer in the hottest part of the days, I think it's probably worth it. And I'm going to sound like Dale a little bit in this, and please forgive me. There was a lot of times, even at night, that when we stopped to get gas, we hooked up a water hose and we wet them suckers down again at the gas station.
Yeah, you don't even think twice about it. You just do it.
I know a lot of people, even show people, were like, y'all really do that in the middle of the night? Yeah, we really do that in the middle of the night. And we had misters and whatever and the whole 9 yards, and we still, whatever we could do to keep those things. Also, when we stopped to get gas, offer them water. Not only wet them down, but offer them water. Because that's going to keep them cooler and comfortable. And so those were a couple of things that we did as well. And so I think the biggest things on hauling after you've done all you can with your trailer, whether it's air conditioned, whether it's adding ventilation, whether it's putting a mister system in there, hooking up fans, because we had fans hooked up in our trailer, ran off a generator in the back. I mean, all of those things are possible. And if you're sitting in line and you don't have an air conditioned trailer and you're going to be sitting there for multiple times, do that. Hook up a fan, run it by a generator to keep air going through those things. I forgot to bring that up. We had fans running. I mean, in our trailer sometimes while we were going down the road. Not always, but sometimes we did. And so, but if you're sitting there in line, there's no sense why you can't hook up a fan and hook up your generator and get it going to keep air flowing and keep those animals cooler while you're sitting in line. Those are the things that comes to hauling that comes to my mind. Those are some little tips and tricks. And the most of those don't cost a whole lot of money. Yeah, air-conditioned trailers do. Mr. Systems cost some, but a lot of those things that we talked about don't cost any money.
No, absolutely. And I can think about what we do with our steers when we'd haul to Illinois State Fair and we're down in the dungeon where it's just stupid hot and they're a little restrictive on what fans we can and can't have. But we'll take some cold towels and put them into a cooler with melted ice or ice water, get those out, put them over the animals. Just anything I can think about taking a sheep or a goat blanket into that ice chest that's just freezing ass cold, getting that blanket out, putting it on them. Just use any common sense you can. Don't worry about what somebody's going to think about you because you've got a hose out at a gas station soaking down animals to keep them cool. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't need to worry about what the perception is. We need to worry about keeping those animals as comfortable as we can because we put too much time, too much effort into it to let our guard down at that point. And do not let your guard down when we get to the show. The problem is that a lot of the shows, for various reasons, whether it's a fire marshal or electrical carrying capabilities or whatever it may be, we're not always able to create our home environment. We can't take a cooler room for the most part to the shows. A lot of the Texans, Ryan, will take those swamp coolers with them to put behind the cattle. And we don't see that as much up here, but I love it. And
you got to check out what the restrictions are and stuff like that at these shows. But once you get there, one thing that once you get there and you've pulled into the barn or whatever, do not unload the tack first. Unload those animals. And I don't care if it's your kid or somebody else. Again, offer them water, hose them off while other people are unloading the tack. And I know at some of these junior nationals, it is the thing that they're trying to move you in as quick as possible. But this is where, even if you got to borrow a friend that's already there, get those animals off first, offer them a drink, put some water on them, then do the rest of your tack. As far as if there are no restrictions in terms of fans and stuff like that, the more the merrier. I mean, literally, disassemble the fans in your barn and take them with you if that's what you have to do. But we do use portacools a lot in Texas. And again, I know lots of junior nationals that allow them, that they say, hey, here's a portacool company in in the town that's hosting the show. Call them. They'll have it there set for you, set up, ready to go, all that other stuff. Portacools are a wonderful thing. It is the closest you can get to having a mini cool room there because it just works. And so if that's in your budget and that's allowed, do that. Again, misters on the fans at the shows. Also, everybody's going to have a cooler at a show or multiple coolers. I don't see them as much anymore, but we had a million of them. But they used to have these coolers where it was so great because they sat on top of your cooler, Dale, and you just turned them on, and it would take the cold water from the ice chest and spray it on the cow. It was great.
No, I remember those well, and I don't know why
don't we see those anymore?
There's got to be a reason for it, but I'm confused because that was as effective of a method, especially if you can't bring in one of those
portacools,
evaporative portacoolers. So that this would be the next option that I would strongly recommend.
And everybody was taking a cooler anyway, or multiple ones. It was the greatest thing ever. I don't know where those disappeared to, but I mean, we had a million of them, and they were great.
You're all in on those.
I did like them. I'm not joking. I thought,
and I'm going to expand on what Ryan said. And when it's hot, the first thing we'll do when we're getting those animals off, and I know every situation is different, but if we can go straight to the wash rack and run that cold water on them for quite a while to bring that body temperature back into check, That's going to be a lot quicker than putting them under a fan in the stall or in a pen
That's
if it's
what
a hog.
I said to do,
Yes,
sir.
exactly. I want to reemphasize that if you can do it, and I know
Just because you say something different way does not mean that is not what I
it is
said.
not in a different. I'm just reemphasizing that I don't see that being done enough. It's probably done a little more in the cattle than the other species, but
I don't think it's done enough anyway.
and if it's you're getting in there in the middle of the night and the animals aren't hot, then don't worry about it. But if we're pulling into the daytime and those animals you think are even a little bit hot, we need to get that body temperature back to a normal level as quick as possible if you want them to thrive. And the only thing we can really do in that last 24 hours before a show is hydrate and swell that muscle via hydration. And I can assure you by overheating those animals, you're going the opposite direction. And that's not going to, that the outcome is not going to be good.
Kind of the same things in the trailer. I don't know about for like pigs and sheep and goats as much because they don't have the hair issues that cattle people do. I know a lot of times in the cattle world, people in the summer don't wet the bedding enough because, it's going to make the hair on the bellies and the legs damp and all that stuff. If it's not show day, it don't matter. Keeping their belly cool is the best thing you can do for a calf. I'm just saying. Like, seriously. Again, if it's not show day, it does not matter. You've worked their hair before. You're going to work it again in the afternoon or whatever. But if it's not show day, keep those shavings wet so they can stay cool. And who cares what the hair looks like if it's not show day? Show day, it matters. It's got to be dry. It's got to be on point.
And I love that, Ryan. But what's the percent? There is an issue with this that we do not.
And I don't know why.
Oh, I think it's just we got to look the part, look cool all the time. But I'm far more about let's keep that animal comfortable and make that thing
I
look.
do not give a shit what anyone thinks my animal looks like except the person sorting the show.
In the ring.
Yeah, on show day.
No,
do not care.
I'm with you. We need to be respectable when people walk through the barns, but if it's a matter
I'm not saying hose the people down that come by and look at them. I'm talking about hosing your own bedding down.
Exactly. And it just seems like it's just common sense to me. And it's just like when we get made fun of for hauling 55-gallon buckets of water for a couple steers to the Illinois State Fair. I want them to drink, period. We can't use a pump there, and the only way they're going to drink is take it in naturally. That I don't care what people think. I don't care what they say. As long as we can make those animals look the part when they go in the ring, isn't that where we should be?
Exactly. I don't care what anybody in that barn thinks about my animal except that one person standing there in the ring that has the microphone on show day. And like to this point, like I can't tell you how many times people have come up to me and like at a show and walking them back and forth to the wash track at those big shows where the wash tracks are like it, whatever. I am telling you, if it is super duper hot and miserable at a show, when they stand up, and again, this is like what Dale was saying, being respectful to your neighbors and whatever. When they stand up, we will at least wet the bellies down on those animals so when they lay back down, they're cooler. Now, you can't like wash your animal in the stall because person tied head to head with you probably going to get a little annoyed. But you can carefully wet the bellies down in the stall to keep those animals cool.
Exactly. And that's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a simple thing to do. And Ryan, I don't see that much of it. I mean, there's obviously some people doing it, but not enough.
Yeah, and I don't know why.
No, I don't either.
All my children and us worked very hard to grow all that hair in the summer. And by God, it makes them hotter, but there's ways to keep them cooler. And I don't care what y'all think of what they look like then. That leads me to...
I think it's that image issue. I believe it's perception on how they look in the stall. And
well, if I cared about what people thought I looked like, I would have stopped a long time ago. Obviously, from the way I dress and present myself, but so that's not my issue. The next thing is you're gonna rinse every morning. You're at a show, and this goes back to do what you do at home, unless it's show day. Show day, depending on the animal, probably gonna have to have them as clean as you can get them, but like. We know soap dries out, all this other stuff, but you're going to rinse that morning. We always rinsed in the afternoons again, so we did it twice. And even with cattle, that requires blow drying and all this other stuff. And another thing that we did at home, we do this at home during the summers. We do this at shows. If it is super terrible, horrible hot, we would take water and ice and get it cold and take a rice fruit brush, dunk that in the ice water, brush it into the hair. It stimulates hair growth. It makes them cooler. Yeah, we did that.
All positive, nothing negative coming from that.
Yeah, people looked at us like we were crazy, but that's okay.
No, that's probably a good thing. Well, I think that at least gives. So I know it seems simple.
Nothing stimulates hair growth better than a rice fruit brush on cattle. I'm just going to tell you right now.
I would agree with that one, and I don't know that we're doing as much now as we used to. We're using
I don't
a lot
even
of other
see
products.
them hardly anymore, except in American cows. So
One thing I haven't brought up, and I have to be careful because I'm not as educated on it as I need to be, but there are supplements out there that can be given that in theory bring the body temperature down or help regulate the body temperature. I believe there is some science behind some of it, and I believe there is a chance that some of that works to a certain degree. But guys, don't just rely on that, because even at its very best, if that's working, we're talking about bringing it down a very small amount. That's not your insurance policy to just haul down the road and not worry about the temperature or at the show. Great, maybe as a supplemental tool to the fans, the misters, to the AC. And in my ideal world, as Ryan talked about at the stalls, even if it's a goat or a pig, if you can bring in those evaporative coolers or porta cools, that is great. Or those old school misters that sat on top of the ice chest, again, really, really good. And I don't care if it's a lamb, if it's a pig, a steer, you can use it on all of them. And when we're hauling down the road, my ideal with our air conditioning system, I will not maybe close the trailer up completely as tight as what you would want to bring the temperature down as far as you possibly can, especially if we have very many numbers on there, but rather maybe leave something cracked in the back. And that's going to, if we don't have the fans on to push the AC back, that'll pull some of that cool air back there. But my goal is not to make it freezing cold in the trailer, but let's just take the edge off and let's get away from the extremes. And that's probably going to benefit us a great deal.
I think the big thing on a lot of this stuff is that a whole lot of it doesn't cost money. And even like the mister systems and stuff like that, minimal money and very good investment. If you're going to do this every summer, multiple times a day, I know people that, and I do not suggest this unless it's the only way to do it. If most of these bigger shows, they're in big towns, the worst thing that we have ever done is haul porta cools to a show because they're bulky, they're hard to load, they're hard to unload, whatever. We've done it before because we had to, because there was nowhere to rent them, etc. But I promise you, those are a little expensive, but well worth it as well. But I if you have to haul your own, God bless you, because we've done it and it just sucks.
A challenge.
But all of those things that I think are going to help. Again, this doesn't apply to pigs, sheep, or goats. I mean, whatever. Most of these junior nationals are going to have tie-outs. After we've exercised at night, on our way to tie-outs, we run by the wash rack, wet them completely down, put them in. They'll say good night, sleep tight, etc., and then start it all over again in the morning.
I like that concept. Anything we can do to make that animal look the part in the show ring. And it may not mean that we're looking the coolest before we get there.
All of those things I think are important and helpful. And, show day, you got to do it completely differently. I don't care what species you are. It's got to be done different. But the goal on show day is to make sure that your animal is fit and groomed the best of that its ability, but also to keep it as cool as it possibly can. So one thing that this happens a million times, and I'm going to tell y'all, it's a pet peeve of mine as a judge. And the only reason I can say it's a pet peeve and I can be anal and angry and Dill Hummel about it is because it never happened to one of mine, because I was so this way before I stepped into the ring to judge 900 million shows. If you've got a calf in the summer, you're going to have a fan on that sucker when it's getting fit, getting dressed, all this other stuff. Before you go to paint anything, turn the fan off. For the love of God, turn the fan off. Because if you don't, guess where the paint's going to go? Everywhere. And it's probably going to go onto the whatever color it is. It's going to migrate onto another one in your strain that is not that color.
No, would not be a good situation.
And it's going to be a mess. And I can't tell you, I would bet 40% of the cattle shows I judge, an animal comes into the Grand Drive where you can tell that paint that is not supposed to be on that animal has got on that animal because somebody didn't cut a thing out on. And most of the times they tried to get it out, but unless you're going to go break that thing down completely, wash it out, soap it out, and refit it, very few times you're going to get by with it, with the alcohol and the spot cleaning and all that other stuff. And I'm telling you, as a judge that does this a lot, nothing makes me angrier to see a calf that I said, that one's going to be in the hunt for the top 5 Grand Reserve, and that thing comes in, and I can tell paint's got on it that's not supposed to be there, and I don't care if it was your fault or someone else's fault. It makes me angry, and it leaves a very bad connotation in my head going into the Grand Drive.
We're not just talking the subconscious this time.
No,
we've gone way beyond that.
Yeah, I'm like, y'all screwed up.
Ryan, are you ready for question and answer?
That's all you have for me.
That's it. And should I confess?
What?
That I didn't check the Beyond the Ring email for a little while, and we are bombarded with question and answer. And I apologize.
Well, since I don't even know what the Beyond the Ring email is or have access to it, this is going to be great fun. So why don't you check your Facebook Messenger instead of the Beyond the Ring email?
That's where I used to get all the question and answers, but you do have access. I gave you that information a long time ago.
That was like 4 years
I know.
ago.
And then I kind of got busy, and a lot of them are coming in on Messenger.
I've slept since then, tried to at least.
I get it. So we have some. We're going to get started on those. Today is brought to you by Pope Joy Livestock. Please touch base with them for your hauling needs. Stephen does an amazing job of keeping people informed and hauling when it's cool. We have some animals going out next week with him, and he's very conscious of those things as best you can be when you're hauling across the country. With that said, Ryan, Rachel submitted a question for you. I have a 10-year-old who has sometimes sent a judge a thank you note, either in the mail or through social media, if they did something special or were very nice to her. For example, she got reserve in a showmanship class, and the judge pulled her back out to assist with the next division. She thought this was awesome and sent a thank you note. I have tried very hard to teach her to send thank you notes and thank people who are nice to her, but I do not want to put a judge in a weird spot. The judges have always responded well, and it did not seem to bother them, but is this a situation that I should avoid or a no-no when we contact a judge after the show?
As long as it's after the show, I think it's completely fine. And I was at a show not too long ago, and someone slipped a thank you note in my backpack while I was judging. I didn't even know it. And it was like literally the nicest surprise ever. And again, I get stuff sent to me from kids, from shows all the time in the mail. Of course, I'm not home a whole lot to get the mail, but so it's like Christmas every time I get home. But all of that, I think, is perfectly fine. There is nothing more sincere and genuine than a thank you note, and it doesn't have to come with a gift or anything else. One thing that I'm just going to warn, and this isn't going to be real popular, make sure the thank you note at least appears to be from the child, if that's where it's supposed to be. If this is an adult sending you something or a show, that's fine. Because a lot of times, I know of people that have got thank you notes in the mail, and I have got them before that I questioned if a kid really wrote this on different levels, from vocabulary to penmanship to just, all kinds of things. But there's nothing more genuine and sincere than a thank you note. And as long as it is after the show, I think that is perfectly fine, because you don't know if you're ever going to show to that judge again, or you may be showing to him or her in 3 months. But again, it doesn't matter because it was after the show and it wasn't. I think it's a great idea.
I would agree with that, Ryan. That seems simple. I don't see any downside from it whatsoever. And Ryan, with my, I guess when you're talking about making sure the child is the one writing the notes, with my penmanship and spelling issues, I could get away with writing it for my kids.
I have the handwriting of a serial killer. And so I could do it too, but I'm just saying there has been times, and I wouldn't have brought that up if I had not heard this from several other people that were all like, okay, the kid signed it, but that was it.
That's all.
And so, yeah. And so again, so you lose some of your genuine and your sincerity when that happens.
Understand. The next question comes from Jemmy. Good afternoon. I have a problem that there may not be a solution for, but here goes. She doesn't realize that the gay has a solution for everything.
I was going to say, she didn't realize Dale has an answer for a solution for everything. Just ask him.
Oh, no. I have a problem, again, that there may not be a solution. We have a family in our county that has a long history with our county show. The family name is well known. They have been directors or on the board of the show and do a great job. They put as much or more energy into making it a successful show than most. They also put an equal amount of time and effort into their show animals, which translated means they win or at the top of their species a lot. They raise their own stock, offer stock to others in the county as well. My problem is with convincing families I help and others from taking they always win because they know the judge, or of course they win, they run the thing. So why should we even try? I know there is no cure for jealousy. What would you do to help change this attitude?
Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure I understand this right. She is defending the family that helps run the show, puts time into the show, puts effort in their stuff, all that. Like, she's saying that everybody just says they win because they ran the show, they know the judge, and she doesn't think that's right?
No, she thinks the fact that they put that much effort into the show, they also put the equal amount of effort into their animals, and they deserve to win, and they are winning. And people
are just angry.
They're angry. They don't look at how much effort they put into making a good show project. They rather just say, well, they're in charge, so they know the judge, they hired the judge, all of these things. It goes back to our county fair mentality.
Here's the whole thing. Haters are going to hate. And again, while I think this is whoever wrote this and sent this in, I commend them for wanting to change the attitudes of those people and point out, you know what, for as much time as they put into the show, they also put that into their stock, their program, their effort at home, they breed their own, all this stuff. Their animals are good. That's great. There are some people that I don't care if God came down there and told them that. They're going to go, nope, they shouldn't have won. The only reason they won is they run the show, they know the judges, whatever. And that's just a section of the population because it is much easier to tear someone down than to lift yourself up to their level. And that's just there. And I applaud this woman or man or whoever it was that sent this in and wants to try to change the attitudes. And there are some that if you just go talk to them, say, you know what? I got beat by them too, but they had better stuff than I did. And they had better hair, they had better skin, or they had better animal, or all that. You can get some of those people to come around and see that, but you're not going to get all of them. And that percentage does not. Screw them. You're not going to change their mind anyway.
That seems fairly simple. But you know what? It gets, I don't know that there's, if there's this situation where the family that is putting a lot of effort into their livestock, whether they raise them or buy them, whatever it is, also has an affiliation with the fair board and or the superintendent, or is the superintendent, I'm going to say at every single show that that's the case, there's at least one person saying these exact things that were brought up.
And it's going to be everywhere. And since it's not this, I don't think this families who submitted this question, those people are probably immune to it by now. I promise you, I am unoffendable at this point. There is nothing
cannot be offended
you could say to me that could offend me at this point. Because I have been called everything but a white woman and a child of God multiple times. So,
a liberal?
Duh. Do you know how many people? Dale,
we
talk about how many people that assume. Yeah, exactly. So, and that, if you could offend me, that would be it. But you can't anymore. And so, people that are successful and do this, whatever, they realize that's going to be part of it. And you got to develop thick skin. You know, I say it shows all the time, you know, I'm going to say some things that might offend some people because I'm way too honest. That's okay, because I've got real thick skin, because you can't look like this, dress like this, and talk like this at a livestock show and not come under a lot of controversy. So I'm okay with it. Granted, not to the degree that I am, but people that are wildly successful in this, they have developed the fact that they know that there is going to be a certain section of the people that are going to talk trash regardless. This all kind of goes back to the theory of you don't clap for others when they win, so it's never going to be your turn, or we need to do better, and we do, and all of those things are in there, and I appreciate this, and I love that somebody submitted this and wants to help do better and change attitudes and minds, and I think you will with some by just talking to them and pointing out why they are successful, the things that don't have anything to do with them volunteering or at the county fair or being the superintendent or any of that, the work put at home, the quality of the animal, those things. There's just a certain section that you ain't never going to change their mind.
Absolutely accurate. Well, with Ryan, with that, I'm going to hold off your third question. We've got a little long on our question and answer like we do everything else.
You said there was 6 million of them and you're only going to do 2?
We have a lot, and I'm going to categorize them a little bit, and we'll bring those others up. If you'd like one more, I do have one right here I can grab.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's try it.
Go ahead.
This is a good one, too.
Oh, good.
The whatever it takes to win attitude is getting out of hand. This comes to us from Ray. I realize Ryan says there should only be one rule, but in reality, there are rules. In the swine deal, there's far too much going on. People are representing crossbreds as pures and lying about ages, now worse than ever. We're supposed to be setting a good example for the children, and that is far from what is happening. Kids who purchase animals from honest breeders are being punished as well. The purebred associations can only do so much, and we have the lawsuit-happy lawyers and exhibitors out there when accused of something that come back at the fairs or the show management. What do you guys suggest can be done?
Well, this is the age-old question.
You asked for this one, remember that.
That's fine.
Okay.
Ray is not going to be real happy with me, and that's fine. But my joke about there should only be one rule at shows is they should all start at noon. Why it is a joke, I base that in some theory. Because of just what he said, there are going to be people that do things that other people are not going to do to try to be competitive, etc. I do not, will not, and cannot see the sense in unenforceable rules. And I'm going to say that 80% of the rules at a stock show are unenforceable to the masses. Yes, you can enforce them in small situations. Those situations are the ones where somebody goes to people in charge and says X, Y, and Z is doing A, B, C, and that's illegal according to Rule 32. Okay, but 3 aisles over, somebody that's not on that person's radar is doing the same shit and getting away with it. So, yeah, I can't subscribe to that theory. The reason that this happens is because people, I'm trying to find out the best way to word this, but anyway.
I think you're worried about offending somebody.
People are, and not really, I'm just trying to, people's level of competitiveness vary. So again, the do whatever it takes win is going to vary. But until we find the proper way to enforce all the rules that we have and to penalize the people that break those rules to where it is known that people are getting punished and penalized without ruining the reputation and show career of a minor child, there's never going to be a solution.
I don't think that's possible.
I didn't say it was, but I'm telling you that's why we are where we are.
I would agree with that. And I have some sad news for Ray. I think there may be less problems in the pigs than we have in the sheep and goats, and or maybe even into the cattle. But the sheep and goats has gotten so far out of control. Ryan is so excited about doing our unethical practices episode that will get a lot of attention, I'm sure.
I've been wanting to do that since like episode 3, and you've been holding me off.
So Ray gave us a push that way. Ray, I appreciate it. And I agree with Ryan. It is so difficult. And Ray, you're correct. I think we're maybe more aware of what's going on, and we're in a lot of cases not setting that good example, and we're not standing up for what we believe and preach the stock show world is supposed to be all about. We will do all we can to bring out some of these things, Ray, in the unethical practices episode and a lot of the episodes. Hopefully every episode, we're trying to push people down a better path and we can do better mentality. And I'm the first one to say that I can certainly do better. And Ryan has said it many, many times. So we appreciate you submitting the question. Ryan, thank you for the discussion today. Until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear? Because next week we're going to talk about Miss Texas and livestock shows. It's going to be fabulous.